thanks for staying with us. So, as we step into this beautiful month called July, it's the second half of the year. We are the launchers of the second half of the year, just because of my birthday. Anyway, as we launch into this July, many of us are reflecting on our goals between January to June. So today on the show, we have our life coach, Ezekiel Solesi, joins us on the show to share insights on how to refocus and achieve success. With expertise in personal development, Ezekiel will be guiding us through the process of setting and achieving our goals. In this interview, we'll explore practical strategies for overcoming obstacles and staying motivated. Ezekiel will share valuable tips on how to create a roadmap to success, maintaining momentum throughout the year. Please welcome with us Mr. Ezekiel Solesi in the building.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you on the show.
It's great to be here again.
So, we like bringing people like you, because when we start the second half of the year, sometimes many of us feel like overwhelmed because we started the year with high hopes. There's something we wanted to do.
Yes.
It's half year. We're thinking, okay, have we done anything? Where are we? Can we really make it to the end of the year? So we're trying to refocus. So we need your help to guide our thinking. In your view, at half year, what should we be thinking right now or doing right now?
So, almost everybody starts the year with a plan, right? Until they get punched in the face, by life. And so one of the first things that I like to get people to do, say in July, and they feel like they haven't achieved much in the year, is to take responsibility. Because if it's somebody else's fault and you can't control the person, then you can't do anything about it, right? If it's the country's fault, right? If it's the president's fault, if it's your parents' fault, if it's your spouse's fault, because everything that is happening in our life is something that we have done or we have allowed.
Okay.
Right? So you either have done something or you have allowed something, right? So it's important that the first thing you want to do is that you want to say, look, this thing is my fault, right? It hurts at the beginning, but it could liberate when you say, it is my fault, but what's going to happen next is also my fault, right? So I could do something about it, right? So that's the first thing that people need to do. And it's the hardest thing to do because most of the time, we come up with excuses, reasons why, and very, very reasonable reasons, right? It's easy for somebody to say that, my life isn't the way it should be because fuel price went up to 900. And it's true that fuel price went up to 900. But is there a possibility that I could have found a way to still achieve my goals, right? Because I tell people when things get tough, you don't change the goal, you change the plan. Most people change the goal.
That's true.
Right? But you don't change the goal, you change the plan. You say, okay, I want to get, it's like when you're coming to VI, right? And you hit an Oroshoki and then there's traffic. If it's blocked, you find another way. You don't decide and say,
I'm not going again.
Yeah, especially if somebody has 2 billion naira waiting for you on the island.
So how can individuals identify their core values and priorities to enable them set meaningful goals? Because sometimes you just want to set a goal maybe because the next person is doing it or because you just wake up and feel like this is trending and then you don't it's not really who you are and you won't stay the course. So how can people identify their core values to enable them set goals that they can sustain over time?
So anybody who's as old as 10 years old already has core values, right? Because most people think that core values is is just something that you decide. No, it's something that you first observe, right? What kind of person am I, right? And you have to set goals that align with with your highest self. Now, someone could say, oh, I'm a kind of person that is lazy. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about your higher self. We're talking about, oh, I love to help people. Okay, let me set goals that put me in contact with people. Let me set goals that help me achieve more. But the most important thing, like you said, which is people just set goals because they see other people doing it, right? You want to live your own life, right? Nobody is running the same track. Right, even twins from the same family, from the same parents, from the same womb, in fact, would have, even if they made the same choices, their life would turn out differently. So everybody is different, and the first thing you want to do is to ensure that you're running your own script, you're living your own life. These goals are things that you want. Now, it's not entirely bad to start out copying somebody else. But as you get older, you want to choose your own life, right? You want what you truly want, not what you see other people, want around you.
Okay, let me ask. At this point, when you sit and you do a self-reflection, what exactly does self-reflection do to people in achieving success? How can we incorporate self-reflection, self-assessment into our daily lives to get to this point of taking responsibility?
Fantastic. So usually, when people are self-reflecting, there are three things I usually ask them to do. The first is, no matter how bad your life is, something is working. Right? Something is working. I mean, if anybody says nothing is working, it's because they are not observant enough, right? Something is working in your life, right? And so, or you run a business, something is working in your business. If you have one person that has bought, something has worked. So the question is, why did it work? How can it work again? How can I get it to work a lot better, right? So that's really the place to start, because most of the time, if you don't start that way, you're looking for all these other strategies and all these other things, and things take time to work, right? And that's the reason most people don't achieve much. They're always looking for the new strategy to implement.
You taught us that the last time.
Yeah.
You find that, so if you make one sale, that strategy you used, replicate it.
Yes.
Don't start looking for other additional strategies.
Exactly.
I remember you said that.
Yeah.
So you now find a way to sustain that and build on that
Exactly.
one thing. That's
But what I'm adding to that now is you need to ask, why did it work?
yeah.
You know, so for example, if I'm selling umbrellas in traffic, right, and somebody buys, why? Is it because we're in rainy season and there's the possibility of it? So I know, okay, in rainy season I should sell umbrellas. You know, if it's not rainy season, it won't work. So you want to find out, why did it work, right? Find out what's working, find out why he worked and how we could work again. But that's what you get out of reflection.
Okay, so if why it's working is limiting profit, for instance, they bought because it's rainy season.
Yes.
And you're off rainy season, you actually want to make money. What do you then do to continue to gain sales?
So then we ask, what are they going to buy in dry season? Right? Because
So
if
then
we
you
didn't-
then change.
Exactly. Because if we didn't think about it, we would be selling umbrellas in dry season. And we'll be wondering why God's favor is not on our lives. Right? But if it's raining season, so I'll give you a perfect example. So we had a client of ours who had achieved massive results. They did everything they did in the previous year in the first 90 days. So when he sent me the message, it was over 2.3 billion. When he sent me the message, he said, oh, this is what we did this year and so far, and it's so amazing, but we're bracing up for the rainy season. So I asked him, I said, why? Why did you ask? Why did you say that? He said, because in the East, it's a real estate company in the East. So he said in the East, a lot of commerce is driven by the activities in the market. And in rainy season, the activities in the market is reduced, right? Because not a lot of people come to the market, so not a lot of people buy. So they generally experience significantly low sales in rainy season. So I said, okay, that's reasonable. So how can we experience high sales in rainy season? So one of the things that we worked with them to do was to do billboards in Lagos, in places like Computer Village and other, where there are people people from the East, because in Lagos, rainy season doesn't affect commerce, right? So we said, buy your assets in the East from the biggest real estate company in the East. So now Lagos is now people in Lagos, because the reason why they thought it would generate low sales is because they are only focused on the people in the East. But now they can focus on people in other places to whom rain doesn't affect. And then get business to happen where it is. So that's the point. So that's the point of observing. When you observe, you can say, okay, if rainy season affects this, does it affect it in Lagos? Does it affect it
using
abroad?
the umbrella example, so you don't have to change from umbrella to maybe fans. For instance, you don't actually have to change your product. You can still
you can find where the product can be applicable.
No, so if it's in dry season, rather than sell hand fans, you can actually find a way to sell your umbrellas at parties
as souvenirs.
Well, you can sell it as souvenirs.
You still sell your product,
because we have little time, I wanted to just get as many questions as possible, because there's the issue of the staying power and staying motivated. Because there's this saying that I always that I put in my head, that if the project doesn't scare you, then it's not big enough. Now, so you are taking on this project and you are scared, but you need something to motivate you. There's that need for a staying power. Like, okay, it's possible. Because sometimes you second guess your ability. I think, hey, are you sure? Hey, are you okay? You try to put yourself, are you all right? But you need something to make you stay. So how do you develop that staying power that will don't make you second guess yourself?
So it's two ways. The first is that I always say that everybody needs somebody in their life that they are too afraid or too ashamed to disappoint. If you find that person and that person would not take your excuses, you'll be successful. Now, that's why that person might not It might not be your husband or your wife, because they're supposed to love you unconditionally, right? But somebody. So I have about 3 people in my life. If I have a plan, something that I want to do, I pick up the phone or I send a text and I tell the 3 of them. I do not have the ability to tell them that it didn't happen. I would die before it didn't happen, right? Those people. It's not that simple. It's just that I respect them too much to give them excuses. So you need to find that. The second thing that can help you is you need a problem. Most people don't have a big enough problem. You know? So think about it, right? If a man has, so beautiful example. You know, we say that, you know, children bring their money from heaven. That's why you should have children.
They do like this when they're coming.
I don't believe that.
People, and if you look at the facts, it seems true. But what is really true is that when a man has a child, and the child is small, it's difficult to explain the importance of fasting to a 2-year-old child. So you go and get money to get the food. So now that person has a problem, and he can't get out of it. He has to get out there. You know, that's why you see women with babies.
Child is holding you accountable.
They do something because they don't have an excuse.
Yes.
Right? So you need to find either one of those 2 things should be fine.
So like what Moira had said about, you know, if your dreams or your goals don't scare you, then it's not big enough. Okay, so sometimes you make these big goals and take on these ambitious goals, and they take on these big projects, but then we get overwhelmed. So how can we break down this project in such a way that into smaller other projects that we can manage it and then still get to the end result that we hope to achieve?
So the first thing I say, and what I'm probably going to say might be a bit controversial, I think that the concept of overwhelm is, it comes from a selfish mind, in the sense that you're looking at yourself, right? You're too self-absorbed, right? If you have a goal, and so I like to say that if people find a way to put themselves in survival mode a lot, they would avoid overwhelm. So let's say we're all here now, right? This is an exit. And for whatever reason, a lion shows up here. It's very rare that you'll be overwhelmed enough not to run, right? You would run, you want to save yourself, right? So the first thing is to put yourself in a situation where you don't have a lot of choices. And then you want to break things down. Now, the other reason why people have overwhelm is because they think that they need to know every single thing before they start. If I leave VI at 7:30 p.m. and I'm going to Ibadan, and I turn the headlights of my phone, of my car, I can't see Ibadan. The most I can see is maybe 100 yards from where I am. But by seeing 100 yards, I can get to Ibadan. I just need to see enough to make the next best decision, avoid the pothole, avoid the crater, I'll find myself in Ibadan just by seeing the next few steps. So what's important in our lives is not all of the decisions we have to take looking at them from here. It's the best decision, the best next decision, the next best step, and you'd get there. It all makes sense.
Let me go on a very short break. When we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.